Well, hello world, welcome to Raccoon Point Studios. I'm Sean Bombs, and we're doing a comparison between some fuzz pedals in this video. The first one's going to be with guitar, and it's going to be 3 OpAmp fuzzes from Electro-Harmonix. We have a Big Muff from the 70s here with the OpAmp in it. We have the Big Muff OpAmp reissue from, 5-8 years ago, somewhere around there. Time's just flying, especially now that the world is ending. But, we still have to play guitar. We'll see what happens, right? And then the Muff 2 with the collaboration of JHS, Electro-Harmonix, and some guy in Jersey. So, yeah, pretty cool. And, yeah, just you want to hear the differences. It's not like a shootout by any means. It's just you can hear the differences or similarities, however you look at it. So I'm using the Marshall JVM 410 back there with this one, and it's on the clean channel, and that's that. I'm using this Joyo just to switch it so they're not messing with each other as far as circuitry into other circuitry, because this thing could be finicky, you know what I'm saying? So that way we just get rid of any kind of discrepancies and all that stuff. I forgot to ask. I always forget to ask. I never really ask. But if you're into this kind of stuff, consider hitting the subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell so you can stay notified. All that stuff, blah, blah, blah. It helps the channel. I plan on putting a lot of stuff out in 2026 if we're still here. Thank you. so that was very interesting. I found that the OpAmp reissue and the vintage can get close to each other in certain settings, and I'm not trying to match them, but they can sound similar to me in certain settings. Not all of them. And, the plus of the Big Muff OpAmp reissue is it's smaller, takes up less space. And you don't need a special jack to go into it, even though you can get, they come with most pedal power bricks. Anyway, so the Muff 2 obviously has a whole different thing going on, and it has a very pillowy type thing. To me, it's like a Green Russian meets an OpAmp fuzz, if that makes sense, because you have the pillowy sound, the bloom in the low mids and the bottom end, but you also have a little bit more top end, and you don't really lose a lot of that low end when you crank the tone all the way up. I mean, you lose a little of it, but not a lot, like some of the other Big Muffs that you might encounter sometimes, like especially with the vintage one, you turn that tone knob all the way and you have basically no bass. So, it makes it versatile in that way, but this is something that's subjective, whether you like that sound or not. Do you know what I mean? I really do like a cloudier fuzz sound for certain things, just to, not be so edgy and 3K laser beamish as some fuzzes can be, or distortions for that matter. So that leads us to the bass, and for this one I'm using the Green Russian Reissue and the Muff 2 because I find that they have some similarities in the low end, the creaminess, the bloom. They don't have a lot of the edge, but I do think that the Big Muff Green Russian has a little bit more edge. This thing is very soft on the top end, which I dig. So it's kind of cool, like if you want to mix and match different fuzzes in your band, then having one of these mixed with something else can probably, complement each other. Jeez, that's the word, complement. Something we need to do more of, people. But, that's after we burn it all down, of course. I'm using the SVT3 Pro from Ampeg and then a Tonex cab simulation, and that will help round off the top end harshness of a fuzz going DI through an amp. All right, so yeah, check it out. So that was pretty interesting. I found that the Green Russian can be tighter, which is funny because it's usually not what I consider a tight sound for a bass distortion or fuzz. It's kind of just really holds that low end and then sputters a little bit. But in comparison with the Muff 2, the Muff 2 actually sputters a little bit. And the Green Russian actually sounded more scooped to me in comparison to the Muff 2, which I think that's, something that is common knowledge on, through JHS's videos or whatnot, how the mid-range was a little bit more apparent. So usually these other fuzzes, there'll be a scoop from 500 to 1K or something like that, you know what I mean? Somewhere in that ballpark. And where this has, it has that 800 and up kind of bloom that you more associate with the guitars. So yeah, I think they're both usable. This Green Russian would probably be more, steady, I guess, or consistent with its sound and attack. And the Big Muff 2 could give you some of that blurred thing happening to where it's not always apparent what is going on with the bass. And stuff that I listen to, sometimes you don't know what's what. And I kind of like that. I like when things are just meshy and mixed up and they just kind of morph into each other, as opposed to, yeah, that's that guitar, that's da-da-da-da. I don't care for it to be all perfectly in its place. I like when things are kind of like, like soup. You just mix it all up. But anyway, if you're into this, subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.